स्वामी दुख बिन से मन का, सुख संपत्ति घर आवे, सुख संपत्ति घर आवे, काष्ठ मिटे तन का। ओम जय जगदीश हरे। माता पिता तुम मेरे, शरण पढ़ूं मैं किसकी, स्वामी शरण पढ़ूं मैं किसकी। तुम बिन और न दूजा, प्रभु बिन और न दूजा, आश करूं मैं जिसकी।
I'm very pleased that St. George's has invited me again within a period of 6 months. That means I must be doing something right. So I'm very pleased to be here with you and to see so many smiling faces. You see, today we are gathered here to celebrate this very important festival, perhaps the most important festival that all Hindus throughout India celebrate, the festival of Diwali. And most people, think, well, Diwali means what? Feasting and fireworks. What else can there be? And presents, perhaps. Can there be anything more to Diwali? Is there a deeper meaning to Diwali? And maybe it's a celebration anyway, so we don't want to think about deep things. We just want to think about sweets that we can eat and the fireworks show display that we are going to visit and so on. There's much more to Diwali. Let me just touch on some of the ideas. You see, the reason why I do this is for the following reason. If I can show you the deeper aspects of your religion rather than the superficial, the externals, then you see you can appreciate it more, because look, you are the professional Hindus in this country. So if I can show you the deeper dimension to your religion, perhaps you can relate to it even more and feel comfortable to ask difficult questions. The religion that you come from takes pride in saying, only accept those aspects of your religion that make sense to you. If they don't make sense to you, reject. Your religion allows you to reject religion. Other religions will say, how dare you? This religion says, if you don't like this aspect, it doesn't make sense to you, because that's the best filter you have. When you are interacting with the rest of the universe, the best filter you have to make sure nonsense doesn't get into your system is this thing called rationality. It's a filter. So it filters information which is sensible and allows it to get through to you and become part of your constitution. So if you didn't have that filter, any nonsense and hobgoblin that are dished out to you in the name of religion, you'll swallow them and you'll be constipated in no time. So it is important for you to challenge, to try and understand your religion in a rational format, and that's what I'm all about. That's why I come and I ask youngsters, feel free to ask pointed questions about your religion that makes you feel, look, if you are a medical student, you know that if one part of your body is not working properly, in fact the way they define a healthy body is when you are not aware of your body at all. That's the best sign of health, good health. The moment you become aware of some part of your body, you got a little bit of itch here or this problem or that pain here, your whole system suffers. It's not, we all know that. We don't need to go to a medical school to understand that. If one part of one organ in your body is playing up, you suffer, the whole body suffers, and you become distracted. At the moment, the thing that makes Hindu students feel very worried is religion. They think in their background, perhaps the weakest aspects of their background is religion. Because when they interact with people of other religion or people of no religion, and the moment they mention Hinduism, it appears to be a weird religion, very confused, very conflicting. So the Hindus themselves feel this is perhaps the weakest aspects of our being. After I've done this session with you, I can assure you that if you really dig deeper, you'll suddenly find this is the strongest aspect of your personality. It will build you up. It will not break you down. It will build you up dramatically. It is a very potent tool that we possess. It's a very powerful discovery. You see, the reason why, look, in the United Kingdom, Hindus do extremely well at schools, colleges, universities, in professions. They are really top of the class in every field. And you might wonder, why is it? Do you know why? It's your religious background that has produced this focused ability to become one-pointed in any field and master every profession. That's why you are successful. Pay tribute. The focusing ability that you generated has come through generations of very hard work, very disciplined work, and that has come in the guise of religion. Don't underestimate what religion is all about. It has given you what you feel is your ability to be one-pointed, focused. That's why you see your parents will go to great lengths to make sure you go to the top school, top universities, and do well. They will starve themselves to make sure you go to the top school, because they recognize the importance of education and this importance of developing this rational faculty. And that's why I am very keen to always interact with the youth. Now let me show you the deeper aspects of Diwali, which you perhaps are not aware of. As I say, apart from feasting and fireworks, there is much more. This is what it means. You see, we Hindus agree with the theory of evolution. We have no difficulty with Darwin. We agree, we go along with the idea that we started as a single cell being and became more and more complex until it became this human form. We have no difficulty with Darwin whatsoever or with evolution. We have no difficulty. But when you look at the evolution of humanity, you notice this. We come out from the animal kingdom, we enter the human kingdom. And here we still continue to show brutality, we continue to show our animal nature. As human beings we do. We can be very rough on each other. Now the story of Diwali begins here. It is a story of evolution, not just to the human level, but from the human to the humane. This is what Diwali stands for. It is now for the first time in the history of mankind, we discover one giant personality of the Hindus, this Ram. That is what we are celebrating, the hero Ram. And do you know what Ram stands for? It stands for living for higher principles, higher ideals, not for material things. This is the transition of mankind from the animal to the human, from the human to the ideal, humane. This is what Ram stands for. That's why we are in love with Ram. That's why we continue to remember him year after year. This is what it stands for. Think of this Ram. Every king prior to Ram or even after Ram, their whole objective in life was to get bigger and bigger kingdom, get more money, more land, more territory, more beautiful women. That's all their business was. Property and possession, material things, that's what they were after, massing it together. All kings, ancient, prior to Ram and even after Ram. With Ram we find another unusual character who said, property possession, I'll flick it away for the sake of high principles. I'm going to live for high principles and high ideals and not for property and possession, for material things. He flicked his kingdom away and walked into the forest for a principle. First time humanity saw an example of a person living for high ideals. And that's why we celebrate, because lots of kings, we had lots of heroic kings in the Indian history. The reason why he stands out is because he lived for high principles. He has given the pathway for human beings to evolve further, not just stay at the human level, to become humane. Look at the second aspect of Ram. Why such an endearing figure for Hindus for thousands of years? Here is a person who doesn't live for himself. All his life he lives for others. Never lived for himself. Look at his whole life from his childhood right until his end. Throughout his life he lived for others. You say, what's the big deal? Look, this is what human evolution is all about. You see, when you study social sciences in the universities, they'll tell you, this is what we teach here in the social sciences, anthropology is called and all that. We teach human beings how they can live with each other and how we can engineer the various kind of things that we possess in society to make sure we can live with each other peacefully and in a civilized manner. So we don't step on each other's toes and we kind of manage to behave well with each other. This is called social engineering. That's what they'll teach you. This is the best they can do. Now this ancient hero Ram has thrown a challenge. He said, not just learning to live with each other, that's social, that's business. And many of you are Gujaratis, I'm sure here. And we know, we love the word, the moment the word business comes, we say, yes, it's ingrained in us. We understand now. So far we didn't understand Dilip Uncle at all, but now we understand what he's on about. Commerce. You see, whenever you have a commercial transaction, I give you this, you give me that back. That's called learning to live with each other. I give you this, you give me back. I don't thump you, you don't thump me. That's doing business, commerce. But this ancient hero, this is why Diwali is so crucial, offered a new prescription. You like the word prescription, of course, medical word. He gave a new prescription. The prescription is not just learning to live with each other. That's what intelligent human beings do. In fact, this is considered to be the golden rule for modern society, religious or non-religious. Learning to live with each other. Do unto others what you want them to do unto you. That's the kind of golden rule of modern society, which is suitable to religious people as well as non-religious people. But with Ram comes another idea. You can see why he's stolen the heart of the Hindus. He says, not just learning to live with each other, learning to live for others. There's a big difference. We've taken a big leap You see, learning with each other means, I'm still doing commerce with the rest of the humankind. When I say learning to live for others, there's no equivalent in social science. How can you live for others? You can only live for yourself, Mr. Lakhani. What are you talking about? Live for others. You may think it sounds very abstract and airy-fairy. Just analyze your own lives. Look at the way your parents treated you. They never lived for themselves, they lived for you. In order to make sure you go to your piano lesson and your tennis lesson and this tuition, and they were killing themselves, going here. This is what they were doing. They were living for you. So I'm not just saying your parents go and immediately go home and die at their feet. I'm not suggesting all that, but I'm simply saying this is the idea. Now why is it so important? In modern society, almost 50% of the marriages break down. So you, of course, you see all these Bollywood films where they're all dancing with kurtas and things are going well, everybody well choreographed and dancing, and the man is in love with the woman and they sing lots of love songs, of course, and things are going hunky-dory. But the real drama starts after marriage, when they have to learn to live with each other or live with for each other. Problem. 50% of marriages are cracking up, breaking down. And I'm not just talking about the Western people, I'm talking about the Hindu marriages too, that we are catching up very fast. You might ask, what is gone wrong? What has gone wrong? This is what has gone wrong. You lost sight of the focusing idea of Sri Ram, learning to live for other. You see, Sita never lived for themselves, they lived for each other. They lived for others. The moment a couple, and you say you are marriageable age shortly in a year or 2 years' time, after you finish your studies, not before, surely. Before there, no lovey-dovey, watch it guys. Just study. But when you finish your studies, your parents will go out, start searching, the searchlights will be out looking for a suitable partner. That's standard stuff in every Hindu family. Then we'll get you married. But the thing is this, if you adopt this prescription of living for each other, you see immediately that unit has got natural cohesion. It won't crack up. Otherwise, for the smallest reason, that unit will crack up. Sometimes they have children, and who cares for the children? The children get knocked about. So this idea of learning to live for others is a real cohesion in families, in society, in civilization. And again, the hero who brought this about was this ancient hero of the Hindus, Ram. There's a third idea about Ram that people are not aware of. That's why Diwali is special. The third idea is this, it also teaches something that modern society needs very, very badly. It gives us a prescription of what happens when different civilizations meet up. When people from different cultures, different races, different religions are somehow forced to live with each other or live in the same society, there is always friction. And there will be a tendency for one to overwhelm the other and demolish it. Now, again, I make critical comment, but I'd like to make critical comment about Hindus as well as non-Hindus. If you look at the European civilization, wherever they went, say North America, South America, Australia, they have demolished the local civilization. They demolished it. They overwhelmed it. Now, this is almost brutal. It's almost like survival of the fittest, animal kingdom entering the human level, and the human beings behaving like animals. You see, with this ancient one, we had a different idea. You see, the idea of the Northern Indian Empire coming into conflict or getting into touch with the Southern Indian Empire, and there was friction in the guise of Sita being abducted. This is the deeper story of Ramayana. Two civilizations were meeting up and there was friction, and there was war, there was fighting. This is the deeper idea. And Ram's side won. So did he say, okay, now you are my colony, I'll send you a governor to rule you, and I'll rule you from Ayodhya? Did he say that? He said, nah, you are the best of friends. We will work together. Assimilation and integration, not death and destruction. So with the fact that I won doesn't matter. The younger brother, you take over. You run the kingdom. I go back to my kingdom. Now, you see, the first time the northern and southern empires were united, became unified because of this attitude, not overwhelming, not trying to control others, learning to be friends with others. Now you say, Dilip uncle, what's the point of this today in London today? We are not going to have a fight of Ram and Ravan. So what are you on about? Don't you see the same issue arising again? People of different religions and cultures having to live with each other, and friction. That's what's happening. Pick up the newspaper every day. Fireworks, not the one outside. This one, fireworks all the time. Where is the resolution? How can you really allow different cultures to coexist? Resolution from this ancient hero. Learn to assimilate and integrate. Take the best of the others, adopt it and make it yours. And let them borrow the best of yours, adopt it and integrate it within their system. This is how you produce, this is how evolution takes place. This is how you produce a more evolved society. You take the best from both and produce a more solid, much more integrated, much more advanced civilization. This is what it's supposed to do. Again, see the story of Ram, and the story of Ram incorporates this idea of different cultures coming together and becoming integrated. Now you see, I've said some rough things about the European culture, especially about North and South America. It's historic fact. I'm not making anything up. But I must also pass some critical comments about the Hindus too. You say, Dilip uncle, Diwali, come on, don't be critical on us. We are such lovely people here. Look, we Indians or Hindus have the same opportunity to take the best from the West, combine it with the best of ours, and produce a very integrated, very highly advanced civilization. We have that opportunity. Especially for the Hindus in the West, we have that opportunity. We can take out the best things from this organization, from these people. Look, their power of organization, their honesty, you know, so many things you can pick up from these people. And we can give them some of the best stuff that we possess. But do you know what happens, unfortunately? We take the worst from the West, worst from the East, and produce the new culture, and that's called Bollywood culture. Dancing girls, semi-naked girls dancing day and night. You see, we have done a serious damage. You think it's funny and it's just entertainment. In the name of entertainment, in a way, you're undermining a very ancient culture. You're destroying the fabric of this civilization without recognizing or realizing it. Look, I'm not a spoilsport. I'm simply saying watch it. Whenever there is, if you like, evolution, there are risks, and we are undergoing that period at the moment.
And I went to Bangalore and saw a temple there. There were plans to build another temple that cost hundreds of millions of rupees, and yet within 5 minutes you could go to a slum where you see tremendous suffering. There's something wrong with Hinduism, isn't there? Where on the one hand they can spend hundreds and hundreds of millions of rupees on buildings and temples, and yet ignore the suffering of fellow man. How can Hinduism develop and mature over the years to come?
It's a good question to explore. Of course, a very pointed issue that Himanshu Bhai has raised. It's necessary for all Hindus to be aware that there are pointed issues that need to be addressed, and not shy away from asking questions or exploring these issues or these ideas. You must explore it to its conclusion, because your religion is robust enough to take on the challenges. It is robust. If it was something that was kind of shaky on foundation, then if you ask robust question, it will collapse. Some people run away from this robust question because they know they are on shaky foundation. They say, don't ask, please leave us alone. You know, I won't make any comment about any other religion because this is not a point scoring exercise. But the religion that you come from has always given you permission. This is not new. Hinduism has gone through so many different phases. Sometimes it was almost atheistic, you know, in a certain period. It's prepared to go down that line even. So we have seen Richard Dawkins in the past, nothing new. So we've gone through a variety of different phases, and we are ready for that. We embrace the idea of an evolving, living religion. So here is this, if you like, considered to be a living religion. And then you go to modern India, and you say, oh dear, what are these guys doing here? They seem to have lost the plot completely. I've just been talking about divinifying humanity, seeing spirit in man and women, seeing and serving God in humanity. That is the esoteric idea of Atman and this idea of principle-oriented religion. Esoteric Hinduism. And then you got all these gods and goddesses, and you offer this to them and that to them and donate money to these kind of big institutions and all that. Surely we have lost sight of the plan, if you like, this, the ethos of Hinduism. Surely we have lost. And this is why it's a question from the heart. It starts us up, especially if you go from the West and you see some of these atrocities committed or carried on in the name of religion, it will stir you up and say, this has gone wrong. It's stinking. The plot is, we have lost the plot. You should address this issue. My answer is this. Majority of human beings, including the Hindus, look, never think that we are special and superior. We are not. We are as bad as any other human, but sometimes worse in many cases. Be aware of that. Don't be frightened to understand it. You see, when people, average human, struggles with the deeper ideas of religion, what does he do? He falls back on the superficial. So the deeper ideas of seeing and discovering the spirit as your essential nature and seeing spirit in others, seeing God in others. This is esoteric Hinduism, the deeper idea. It is difficult to absorb it, digest it and put it into practice in our lives. So what do? We fall back on the superficial. What is the superficial? Either we focus on the narrative, pure storytelling and just wallow in the stories, sentimentality. It's called purely wallowing in sentimentality, Swami Vivekananda's words. Hindus love that, don't you? That's why all the soap operas are so popular. You love this, round the merry-go-round and this villain doesn't die and you die and everything. It goes on and on forever and we love it. We are fixated on that. We love sentimentality and this wallowing in narrative, stories. This is one way. So when we can't understand the deeper idea, we hang on to the story part, the narrative, and make a big thing out of it. So we enhance or give greater credence to the narrative rather than the philosophy. One place where we fail. It shows that we can't relate to the deeper ideas. Let's hang on to the stories. And I told the modern Hindu youth, do you believe this actually happened or this exaggeration? No, it happened, Dilip. I said, it didn't happen. Think for yourself. Think for yourself. No, we can't. Don't call our religion mythology. If you call it mythology. So grow out of it. So either we fall back on the narrative, or the second thing we fall back on is the external is this idea of doing liturgy. We went to the mandir and we did this Kalash Puja and we did this, Arpan Kairun, so you basically, because you don't relate to the deeper idea, you kind of grab the superficial. It is easy, suppose you are well-to-do, it's easy for you to say, I'm going to offer this much gold and this much money and this much milk to Shankar Bhagwan in the temple, and you get servants to carry it for you and go click your fingers and you go in, and it's easy to do that. But to say, look, stop seeing God in this image and start seeing God in the street outside your house. When you see that destitute girl walking up and down hungry, do something for her. That's your living God. That's an image of God. This is a living God in front of you. That's your religion teaches you. We don't want to do that because this girl, then I have to look after all her life. How can I do? I don't have time for that. Easy to just throw some coconuts and flowers at these images and get away with it. So this is what happens. This is, if you like, look, it's very cutting comment and I may get a lot of stick for it. But I need to talk. When we struggle with the subtle, the difficult, you know what Swami Vivekananda said? Not Swami Vivekananda, Swami Ashokanand, one of the modern proponents of Hinduism, very lovely, enlightened personality. Some of the Swamis are enlightened, you can make out. Do you know how you make out? The material that comes out of the mouth is original. They never borrow from anybody else. They comes out naturally. There's a Swami Ashokanand in San Francisco who passed away in 1969, a recent one. And he used to say, make fun. He said, do you know what happens? The same question, in a same answer, but in a different way. He said, when you worship the God in the temple, he doesn't kick back. He just sits. And you pour water over him, pour milk over him, he just sits. When you try and worship the living God, he kicks. When you try and interact with the living kingdom, say God in seeing and serving God in humanity, to see Shiva in Jiva, that's the idea. You see, transcending theistic Hinduism to non-theistic Hinduism. When you do that, that is tough. And you don't want to do that. So you hang on to the superficial. So rather than doing something which is philanthropic for the greater society, for the greater humanity, it's easier to just offer, Kalash Chadavan and Pani Diyo ne, Bili Patra. It's easier. So this is the plight of the modern Hindus. Because they can't relate to deeper, they hang on to the superficial with all their life. You see, this shows weakness. Weakness. It's best to acknowledge it. By acknowledging it, you see, another thing I'm very keen that happens is this. A lot of good things that we are exploring in, say, United Kingdom should be re-exported back to India. I'm hoping this kind of questions, this is a question that this question has to be fired at the Hindus in India. Not at me, but he has fired it at me in UK here, but it's fair enough. But this thing should be exported back to India. This idea, what are you doing? What are you doing? Grow up. Revigorate your religion. See and serve God in humanity. That's a more difficult job, but that is demanded of you in modern times. For how many, these are Vivekananda's words, for how many lifetimes you've been bowing down to these images? For one life, now worship the living God, not the imagery, the living God, the man on the street struggling. Do something for them. One lifetime devote to this living God, says Vivekananda. See what happens to India. But we are not able to do it. We are weak. So we hang on to the externals and grab them with all of, oh, this is our God, don't criticize us. Well, we have to.